Technologies have been coming and going. If we look at it as a AI, our ability or inability to adopt AI, it is more likely to be not realized.
Of course, but what about the strategy paths?
How am I planning to achieve it? What preparation should I do?
Quickly focus on a little bit on Sify.
Any business, not only Sify, the specialization of Sify is obviously pertaining to the services that they deliver.
And so why is it not simply enough for AI to be added to existing systems? Why do we need it so that it works on its own end to end?
See, you are now, I have to interpret your question. You are talking about augmentation versus autonomous execution, I'm assuming.
Yes, correct.
So, technology has always been deployed to augment the human beings, digital augmentation or any kind of augmentation. Whereas autonomous execution is something where we have had those systems in role-based systems, not that we have to wait for AI to come there. Meaning if it satisfies, for example, you get let's say a quote from a vendor to prove that if the price has not increased more than 5%, I don't need approval, I will auto approve it. So that is autonomous, but subject to some rules. Likewise, when you talk about AI also, same thing, it will talk about a framework of analyzing, but it goes beyond rule-based automation, right? It goes into reasoning. For example, let us take that same thing and say, which item can I send for auto approval? Which item is sensitive? For example, if it is a new vendor, new company, new product, even though the price appears to be within the prescribed margin, what if this is a completely new product? A simple rule engine cannot determine this thing. When you have an AI agent, it will say, hey, is the specification also matching? And this is where your unstructured or incomplete input that you were talking about earlier in the day will be very helpful, because the semantics are important. Semantics meaning.
Okay.
So somebody will call it provider, somebody will call it seller, somebody will call it vendor. But in the case of a product definition also, somebody will, very simple, which we don't see much effort in India because all of us are using the same measurement systems. But what if somebody says, this is in feet, whereas this is in meters? So someone has to make a comparison the proper way. The semantics of it have to be understood clearly. So your agents are a little bit more intelligent, of course, subject to how intelligent you make them with your knowledge. So they can take multi-step decisions, and this is called reasoning and acting. So they reason up to 5 times or 10 times, whatever you suggest, because otherwise it will go into an endless loop.
Okay.
So you can actually build agents which reason and act. So they have a prescribed format in which they reason. And it's not a rule based, I do this first and do this first. You will say, hey, these are the ways in which you can reason, and the agent will figure out by itself where to start the reasoning and how to conclude.
So next question of course comes to my mind is about the service delivery part. Is AI helping there? Is it actually automatically solving the issues on its own, ensuring that less tickets are generated? Any thoughts over there?
When we talk about service delivery, we are talking about the positive aspect of it, meaning how do I deliver my services faster? And second, when you talk about, I'm not exactly sure what words you use, but you are alluding to, if there is any defect in the service delivery, how am I going to, what they call, self-heal it autonomously without anyone having to go look for what has gone wrong? So you are talking about 2 aspects. One is how do I commission the initial service faster, and secondly, how do I make sure it runs well, and in case if it doesn't run well, in case it gets into an issue, how do I quickly heal it, meaning self-heal it, which is what is the automation all about, right? Autonomous is all about. So yes, there are ways to do this. Depends on the domain of the service and the complexity of information retrieval from the domain. So if you are looking at simple things like somebody is not able to log into an application, the amount of discovery that you have to do probably will be a little bit smaller. So you'll go look at, is the network okay? Is the web server where I'm running it, is that okay? Is the database okay? Meaning you will go deeper and deeper and deeper, and then this is called perceiving the context. So you will get out whatever the relevant facts quickly, And if it is amenable for quick action, such as restarting a device or restarting a server or whatever it is, or cleaning up a database log. So there are things that people are already doing today. But the issue is how do I go through all these options, which are called understanding the situation, and activities, which are tools, meaning I have to go look into the database log is a tool. AI will not do it. AI will only ask for the tool to look into it and tell it. And AI will get back all the responses, reason over them, and say, because of this, your thing is wrong. How about I do this to fix it? So this is, there are various ways to call it. People call it chain of thought, reasoning engine, reason and reason and act, and all those kind of things. But bottom line is, how am I analyzing the problem, and how am I creating a plan of action, and how am I executing the plan with the available tools. Now, as the situation becomes more complex, such as Sify delivers wide area networks, security as a service edge and all these things. There the determination of the root cause is a lot more complex. It requires simulation of the network as a digital twin, and it requires more refined level of automation to make configuration changes and all. These are the tools that we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
So depending on the quality and range of tools that you have, to the extent that can be reducing the human work, so your automation can work towards self-healing and autonomous execution. It all boils down to how well am I having tool sets which are single or little bit multi-step automations that I already have. When I bring in AI, it will reason, it will analyze the situation, it will say, I will do this in this sequence to determine what has gone wrong, and then I will go do ABCD this way so that I can remediate it. So the maturity of AI is directly predicated on the maturity of the underlying automation that you already have. What is AI doing? AI is substituting human reasoning, the need of a human to sit at a workstation throughout the day and night, because AI does not get tired. AI will receive context as and when it happens, and without the need for a person, AI can mimic the reasoning of a person or better, because it has access to process more data much more efficiently. So this is where you can remember the IBM Watson, where it defeated Gary Kasparov. But IBM does
All
not.
of us saw it.
Watson does not know how to play chess, whereas it has the ability to process a vast amount of data.
Yes, in a very short time also.
That's it. So AI is all about that. Meaning, but if you don't have the tools, AI by itself will not do anything.
Correct. So, sir, when it comes to AI agents, when building AI agents for real world problems, where does Sify's rich legacy of 27 years plus, since it's already managing infrastructure, comes in play?
I will answer the question in two parts.
Okay.
One is how does knowledge help building agents better? But before that, I'll talk about what are the agents that Sify is building. So, Sify, any company for that matter, builds agents to deliver their services better. So, when we talk about Sify, we are delivering a variety of services like data center, like we deliver network, security, cloud, and so on, right? Now, when I look at this, I have to look at the life cycle engagement with my customers. So, the part one will be how do I help customers map my services with their requirements. See, today it's a process where if the customer already knows what they want, they'll come and say, hey, I want this much of network, that much of servers and so on.
Yeah.
Now that becomes a what they call need fulfillment activity.
Okay.
But probably a significant amount of time, probably 30-40%, I don't know, I don't have a handle on that, a significant amount of effort will be going into defining a solution, meaning what is the customer looking for and how do I map my services to what the customer wants. Now this is where we get into enterprise architects, solution architects, weeks and weeks of discussion and conversation. And ultimately every I is dotted, every T is crossed, and then they say, yes, now I will. Now it's frustrating for the customer because they're not getting their solution faster. It is frustrating for Sify's sales guys because they're not able to retire their quota and whatnot. So now, what if I can put agents there to accelerate the activity? Where the question is anybody doing it? I'll take Google as an example, where Gemini is so mature, so powerful and all. I tried doing it with Gemini. They're not doing that. No, they're not there. Because to translate an unstructured, meaning a very random, very, very specific situation into a set of services that I have in my catalog is not easy. So we will probably go there sooner than later, but that is an aspiration. Now this is where the engagement begins. Subsequently, what happens is I have delivered my service, right? Now I have to make sure that it runs well. So this is where we were talking about self-healing agents and autonomous execution and all those things will come in. Now, how do I make my agent intelligent? So now I will come to your question. How does my experience of 27 years help you? So today, whoever is following AI agents will all talk about context, right? So how do I augment the generation engine, or how do I provide knowledge? So we were talking about techniques like retrieval augmented generation, A, B, C, D, but now we are talking about context, meaning I will tell the more complete my context is, the more well defined my context is. What is context? All the information that I already have. When this happened last time, I looked at that, or I also looked at that. I did these three things before I stumbled upon that as the real root cause. So that is what you get with your 27 years of experience, where you have evidence in the form of your data, right? So, and knowledge, democratization of knowledge, because there are smart guys and very smart guys and normal guys. So what have these smart guys done when something happened? That is what, if you structure it as a proper input, as a context, that will be available for everyone. So that is the way the 27 years of experience will be helping us to make my services delivered better. Beyond that, if I have to allow my agents to be available for businesses who are bringing enterprise applications and which have their own set of agents for business observability, and if they come to some distance and then they say, hey, here I don't know why it happened, meaning what aspect of the infrastructure on which I am riding is causing this issue, that's where we offer our agents winning. This is the plan. We are working on these agents. So we will offer our agents as available for federating with business level agents. So customers will have full stack observability. So my experience, my context of all these years will help people in the business layer reach clarity much more
quickly. My next question was this only, the full stack visibility bit. How are actually enterprises getting benefited from it?
Right.
So if you could,
Yeah, so let's go with an example, right? So the example is, I can talk about two examples, one in the infrastructure space and one in the business space. So somebody will say, why am I, what was wrong with my application? Why were people not able to log in? They will not even go there. They'll say, hey, what was that issue last week? I was doing my new product launch. And what was that IT problem last week? So now there is absolutely no, let's say, sufficient information in this. So then now how do I bring the context? So now if I am Sify, right? So I have, okay, what did they do? What is the day when I have provided for additional capacity? What exactly went wrong? How much was the load that came in? Because people will say, yeah, a lot of people have come, but am I planning it for 100 people logging in at a time, or am I planning it for 1,000 people logging in at the same time? Actually, what was the actual people who came? So if things are so viral, the business guys will only say, yeah, you know what, unprecedented crowd has come and I know it's so successful. our marketing lady is brilliant and her jingle tingle was so attractive and so many people came. Now I provide with my experience and my instrumentation that I have, meaning my monitoring systems that I have, I will tell exactly at what point systems failed.
Correct.
So that they can plan. So this is an example of how my ability, my historical experience of interpreting behavior of infrastructure to complement the understanding of how business services are working or not working. That's the way.
Okay, so but when it comes to AI, should enterprises actually focus on building their own solutions or buying the ready-made ones out there in the market? What should enterprises do?
It's a very good question. Build versus buy has always been a challenge, not only with AI but before that also. Lot of factors determine that. Who are you as a company? What are the skills that you have as a company? What is your inclination towards research and development? But let me clarify that even if you buy, to successfully incorporate that into your flow requires the mindset of a builder. So for budgetary reason, for expediency and so on, you may want to buy where those are already working very well, proven to be working and so on. But if you do not have the mindset of a builder, if you simply come and paste it here in your environment, where you do not do the underlying preparation with your own environment, such as cleaning the data, putting guardrails, more likely than not that it will fail. Even though a system works somewhere else, it may not work with us. So it is important to make a decision based on how complex it is, what is my organizational resources, my inclination to build. It doesn't matter if the company is small or large. Some companies want to build, more companies want to quickly integrate and move on.
Okay, and what options do enterprises have today when it comes to deploying agents or building within their company?
There's been a lot of noise in the last several months, but now things have settled down a little bit. So on one side you will talk about, you will hear people talking about no need to code. They'll say no code framework. Suddenly they'll come back and say, oh, you know what, I have no code and low code, meaning you can write simple code. And these things have acquired an acronym called LOCO, NOCO or something, NOCO, LOCO, whatever. Now, what is it that is possible with these things? With these things, you can do simple tasks. Now, what is simple? I don't want to get into quantifying what is simple, what is not simple, but generally speaking, these are good for demonstrating the concept, getting people excited, getting budgets approved, and so on and so forth. But then the question is, at the other extreme, you have code first, where you are like developing applications the traditional way. Now, when you talk about scalability, reliability, security, guardrails, and all of those things, more often than not, you'll have to go to code first approach. So whatever you have developed quickly with the no code, low code, will go to the other side and where you have to port them to a code first approach.
Yeah.
Also, most of the traditional rule engines or traditional workflows where you already need to know the process, they are now rebranding themselves as a low code, no code frameworks or AI agent builders. The fundamental thing that you have to look at is when I am talking about an agent, do I already know the paths to the solution or do I not know? So I will remind you of the position that you have taken. AI understands conversational input. AI understands incomplete, unstructured input.
Yes, natural language.
But the moment you are talking about a definitive rule or a process, that doesn't work.
Okay.
So you have layers, right? Or you have to think about it like a swim lanes, right? The first lane is user engagement lane. Now here is where you will nudge the user by way of an AI assistant or whatever it is to say, hey, this is you can call it co-pilots and whatnot, some people. So you will interact with you meaning the provider, service provider or the agent provider will interact with the end user and then they'll say, I believe you want to do this. Like that you will have 3-4 steps and then you will make the user accept that yes, this is what I want indeed. Then the process will be more or less deterministic. So where am I using AI? So this other thing is what we call tool. because there are systems already built for that. If you go to a bank, there is a core banking system. If you go to an insurance company, there is an insurance system. Likewise, if you go to a hospital, there is a system to interpret your scan results and all that. I'm not rewriting them. I'm only trying to imagine when I should use that, how I should use that, how should I interpret the result from that, map it with what the user is asking. So question is, we talked about low code, no code, we talked about high code first and all. So most of the time the user engagement can be probably delivered with low code, but then it will hand off the problem statement with the context to existing enterprise systems, and the bridging that probably will require sometimes to build new workflows, which because the traditional workflow will have a predetermined path. Now, if this, then that. Whereas if you're talking about autonomous execution and reasoning and acting and all that, so for example, let's say you have an interactive voice response system. So it is very linear. So it will have probably, press 1 if you want to do this, press 3 if you want to do this. And somewhere by the time you go to press 4, the line will get disconnected. It is so frustrating. Then you will try all over again. Now you say, no, I heard till press 4 last time.
Yes.
Can I go to 5 directly? You cannot.
Yes.
So the traditional workflows are like that, which are
I was facing this problem yesterday only with my insurance company, so I am oh my God, I was in such pain yesterday, I can't tell you.
Yeah. So when I was going to give you an insurance claim example sometime back, such as you will go and I was in an accident, what is my claim value? That's it. So the system, the person who is interacting with you will do all of those things. Instead, if you are able to type in, probably you have 3 cars or 2 which you have, so you have to specify which one was in an accident. That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
And you need to say, hey, I have my, my sedan in an accident, and yesterday it was determined that I was not at fault. It's the other guy's fault. What is my claim? Right? So then this fellow has a process.
Yes.
Now that goes with a definitive process, because that is how the business logic works. But what if I have to tell you that if you don't want to go through that process where it is very tiring and boring, where you have to give things which you already know, which you already stated, like your experience yesterday, I cannot have that work done in the traditional workflow engine system. Now this is where people are talking about autonomous agent, where what you are saying is you are giving the reasoning engine some tools. So let's talk about this insurance claim only. So what is the first step? The first step, even though you are augmenting the reasoning engine, which is the LLM, with let's say 5, 6, 8, 9, whatever number of tools, which are all API calls into your enterprise system or a database query or whatever it is. Which one will the LLM use first? So let's not worry about that, but let's say it has a availability of some tools. So let's say the first one is, hey, find out the profile of this guy. So who is this customer? When was the policy subscribed? Is the payment current? So, and then you have provided your additional information, you are not at fault. Now this is one agent, or rather one tool. It will do this job very well.
Yeah.
It will not do anything else. Now, if you are switching off because you have to rush to the office or whatever, or your some child came crying, getting your attention, you stopped here. But if you go with the IVR, you start all over again. Whereas with an agent, what happens is you start where you stopped. So you will say, hey, I was talking to you. It has a memory. It knows who you are. It doesn't ask you things which it already asked. And then it will say, hey, I have done some work. I know who you are. I know your policy. I know. That's the ChatGPT response you can imagine now.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. We are here to help you. I already found a body shop where they can come, and I have spoken with a towing agent where the tow truck will come, or all these things it will do. And it will say, while I have done all of that, this is probably the claim, this is your liability, meaning your minimum payment that you have to make. This much work has been done. How? because there are tools which will do this job, and the LLM is calling those tools one by one and creating the solution in the background and telling you.
Correct.
So this is the autonomous execution part.
Sure. I mean, this brings me to the last question. What is Sify doing currently to, speed up AI development so that enterprises can realize value faster?
See, we are giving, I'm being very ambitious when I say this, we are giving everything required to build an AI agentic solution. Starting with my data centers, where I can run very, very high power intensive requirements, meaning I have NVIDIA GPUs that I can run. Then I have my cloud platform. So I look at it three ways. How do I build agents? Where do I run the agents? And what agents I may already give you. So I am addressing all these three parts.
Okay.
So where do I run the AI agents is, I have my fantastic data center, I have my very high speed networks, and I have high speed cloud infrastructure, all of those. This is the where part.
Yeah.
How do I build? So I have development environments. I have what generally go by the name of studios, where I can build all flavors of solutions. I can build predictive, I can build generative, I can build agentic solutions on my studio. That's the second part. With all these two, I already have some agents that I will give you. We spoke about them like in the area of my service delivery operations, and also I will probably give a gallery of knowledge. I can give you a gateway to the LLMs, I can give you guardrails, I can give you cost control mechanisms, I can give you a whole lot of things for an enterprise looking for launching the journey for agentic transformation.
I mean, this is one such pitch which I would memorize, because if I want anyone to know what's Sify, I'll memorize this answer and give them, it's that good. I mean, thank you so much for your time once again, sir. It's an honor to be sitting opposite you. It's more a learning for me on a day-to-day basis. I promise to read more and get back to you with better questions so that I can get you here again.